This book answers some very interesting questions. How was this man able to sell more than 13,000 cars as a salesman? Why did Robert once buy chocolate that he didn't like but give dollars that he loved? Before answering these questions, let me demonstrate how easily I can manipulate your brain. Now consider the object in this picture. It appears to be dark gray at the top and lighter gray at the bottom. What if I told you it's all consistently the same color? Don't believe me? Let's hide the middle strip. See? I told you it's all the same color. The perceived contrast is created by the background color in the middle strip. Our brains perceive details by comparing and contrasting. This manipulation of perception was effectively utilized by Phil, a real estate agent. When showing buyers properties, Phil would start by showing them a few unattractive houses that were priced too high. He called these setup properties. However, these houses weren't meant to be sold. Instead, they were used to create an image in the buyers' minds for comparing the next houses Phil showed them, which he actually wanted to sell. Therefore, these nicer, more reasonably priced homes would then seem cheaper and better, making buyers feel like they were getting a better deal. There's so much distraction in our lives that we cannot afford to dedicate time to thinking. Therefore, human beings have developed shortcuts. These shortcuts can be summarized in the following 6 principles. Number 1. Reciprocity. Once, Robert was walking down the street. He was approached by a little boy. The boy introduced himself and mentioned that tickets to the annual Boy Scout circus were being sold for $5 each. But Robert declined. He would never want to spend Saturday evening with the Boy Scouts. The boy didn't give up. Therefore, he offered chocolate bars for $1 each, and Robert ended up buying a couple. However, he realized something strange had happened. He did not like chocolate bars. He did like dollars. He was standing there with 2 of his chocolate bars, and the boy was walking away with his dollars. What actually happened here? The boy wanted the second request to be fulfilled, so he framed a bigger request first. When Robert turned it down, the boy offered a concession, which made Robert feel inclined to respond with a concession of his own. Hence, he complied with the second request. Later, Robert performed many tests, which proved that starting with a bigger request and then a smaller one always works because of reciprocity. This brings us to our second weapon from this book: commitment and consistency. Psychologists Friedman and Fraser conducted an experiment where homeowners were initially asked to sign a petition supporting state beautification, to which nearly everyone agreed. But it didn't stop there. 2 weeks later, when asked to allow a large "Drive Carefully" sign on their lawns, approximately half of them agreed, despite the initial commitment being unrelated to driver safety. Why did people agree to put a large signboard in their lawns? Because once someone is committed to an idea, they tend to stay consistent with their commitments. This technique is known as commitment and consistency. With this technique, you can change a person's self-image. By obtaining small commitments, you can transform individuals into collaborators or customers. Number 3 is social proof. If 2 different sellers are selling these soccer balls and you have to buy one, which one would you choose? You would buy either one because it's the same product at the same price. Now, if we slightly change the details but it's still the same product at the same price, which one would you choose? Probably this one. Why? Because more people have reviewed it positively. Similarly, some restaurants often create fake customer lines outside to convey the impression of high demand. Social proof works better when there is uncertainty. When people are uncertain, they are more likely to use others' actions to decide how they themselves should act. This is the reason comedy series feature canned laughter every few seconds. It influences the audience. Why do we laugh more at comedy material with canned laughter? This is because of social proof. Number 4 is liking. This weapon from the book has set a world record. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, Joe Girard was hailed as the greatest car salesman ever, selling 13,001 cars over 15 years. How did he do it? If you have to choose between 2 movies playing simultaneously at the theater, which actor would you prefer to watch? Even if you're not a huge fan of The Rock, you'd still watch his movie because of familiarity and likability. Now, if you had to buy a car, which salesman would you prefer? A complete stranger or someone who's familiar to you and even sends you gift cards on occasions? Girard made people like him. He saved customers' addresses and, on special occasions like Christmas, sent them gift cards, ensuring they felt valued. His successful formula, shared in his book, How to Sell Anything to Anybody, stressed offering customers a fair price and someone they like to buy from. This can be the most easily observable influence tool, as we're often influenced by people we like the most. Did you know diamonds are not actually rare? Many countries have huge reserves of diamonds. Then why do diamonds have a high price? The answer to this question lies in the final part of the summary. The second last principle of influence is authority. In the strange case of the earache reported by Cohen and Davis, a physician prescribed eardrops to be administered to the right ear of a patient suffering pain there. However, the doctor abbreviated right ear on the prescription as our ear. The duty nurse mistakenly placed the eardrops into the patient's anus. Despite the obvious error, neither the patient nor the nurse questioned the rectal treatment for an earache. Now consider these two real estate agents, John and David. John sells like all the other agents, saying things like, "This house is beautiful, it's in a good location, it has a large backyard." On the other hand, before selling a house, David makes an image of himself in the buyer's minds as a very experienced person. He tells them he has 15 years of experience and educates buyers with valuable insights. In this neighborhood, property values have increased by 15% over the past 5 years. Who do you think would sell more houses? Before the last lesson, let me thank you, as every second you stayed in the video helps my channel grow. If you found this video valuable, please like it and share it with one of your friends. The final principle is scarcity. Imagine if all the water in the world were to vanish, replaced by gold in the seas and rivers. Gold becomes abundant while water becomes scarce. People turn on the tap in pursuit of water, finding gold instead. What do you think would happen to the value of water and gold in such a scenario? Scarcity often increases the value of items, even those not essential for survival. Conversely, items that are abundant, even if crucial, tend to be less valuable. In the late 19th century, huge diamond mines were discovered in South Africa, threatening to flood the market with diamonds and drastically reduce their value. Even though De Beers, leading multinational diamond company, had a successful marketing slogan, "A diamond is forever," the problem was high supply. Therefore, they created artificial scarcity by buying up as many diamonds as possible and establishing an association to control the supply. Even though diamonds are not actually rare, they just created a perception of scarcity. Apple often limits the initial supply of new products. This limited availability creates a sense of urgency among consumers who want to be among the first to own the latest technology, which leads to long lines at Apple stores. This is why you often encounter phrases like these. Feel free to answer either one. Is it worth spending more money on famous brands, or are the cheaper, no-name products just as good? Or, what is the best financial advice you've ever received? I read every comment.